A little over a month ago, LUMIX sent me the GH7 to try, and honestly I was super pumped about it. The camera that started my filmmaking career back in the day was the LUMIX GH5 with the Sigma 18-35, and if you were on YouTube back in the day, you know that was the combo to get. So when this thing arrived at my door, let's just say it had huge shoes to fill. So naturally I messaged one of my fighter friends, Tyler Ray, to see if he was down to shoot a little spec project with me so I could see what this thing could do.
A couple of days leading up to the fight, I'm always trying to keep myself very calm. We start heading to the arena, that's when my mindset starts to shift, and that's when I kind of flip the switch. By the time you get in there, I'm so locked in, like it's like a movie. You can't even hear the crowd screaming or anything. All I hear is my coaches and the ref. It just feels like that audible blur. And there's nothing like the moment after the fight, getting your hand raised, and that's what makes it all worth it.
So yeah, let's just say the camera is a little powerhouse, and there was a couple things that stood out to me during that shoot and the past couple weeks that I've been using it, so let's talk about that. So let's start with the elephant in the room, the micro four thirds sensor. You guys know there's been a huge shift going towards full frame recently, and I've been shooting exclusively on the S1H and the S5 2X for the last couple years. So I was a little skeptical to go back to a micro four thirds sensor because the field of view and the depth of field, honestly, this thing blew my mind. The first thing that really stood out to me was the dynamic range boost mode that this thing has, because it gives you clean highlights and clean shadows. So it gives you like 13 plus stops of dynamic range, which is pretty good. And the second thing that really stood out to me about this sensor was the 4K 120. And honestly, I've never really been a fan of slow motion in my work, but after using it in this camera, it really changed my perspective on it, and it made me realize that it has its place when you need it. If you love clean highlights and shadows, and you love slow motion, you're gonna love this camera. Now let's talk about the codecs in this camera. This camera has all the typical codecs that you expect in it, but they were able to add 2 codecs in there that are absolutely mind-boggling. Now you can internally record 5.7K 30p ProRes 422 HQ and ProRes RAW HQ internally. Pairing that with the SSD or the CFast Express card makes it so easy and reliable to be able to just shoot this stuff without having to worry, and being able to edit it just plugging in your SSD after shooting that is just, it's insane, dude. The next thing that stood out to me was the 32-bit float recording with the XLR adapter. I used the Rode NTG5 with the XLR adapter to get the voiceover section of the spec project, and I'm really used to using 24-bit and watching my levels, making sure I don't clip anything, but the sense of relief I had using the 32-bit float was just unmatched. The reason it's beneficial is because 32-bit float is an audio format that gives you extra dynamic range to your audio signal. This format gives you the flexibility to recover audio that typically would be peaked if something is too loud, or you could bring up sounds that are too quiet and bring them back up without increasing the noise floor. This thing does not miss. The autofocus in this thing is just fast and reliable. This autofocus system can identify your subjects in the most challenging situations you could throw at it. In total, it has 6 subject types: human, animal, car, motorcycle, train, and airplane. This autofocus has you covered from low light scenarios, backlit, front-lit situations, and it can keep up with fast-moving subjects. And I saved the best part for last. LUMIX and ARRI teamed up to get ARRI Log C3 in this thing, so you can match an ARRI camera and use this thing as a B cam or a crash cam if you want to match those cameras, which is absolutely mind-boggling. I'm gonna be 100% honest, I still haven't used it, but I've seen plenty of videos of people using it next to an ARRI, and the colors are indistinguishable. You just need to match it a little bit, and it's there. But yeah, thanks for listening to me yap about this camera, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.